Hello, and welcome to another one of these things, I suppose. This time around this time of year, I think I'm going to do this a little bit differently this time, where I don't think I'm going to actually do this all in one video. I'm going to be doing it in two separate videos. The one tonight will be around the entirety of this year, 2025, and then the one tomorrow, since tomorrow is New Year's Day, I'm going to go over, I guess maybe not so much my plans for what I want to do for 2026, but maybe more so on just like the things that I'd like to do and things I would like to aspire to do and stuff like that. But it'll be focused on the new year, since, you know, it'll be the start of that. But yeah, I thought I would just kind of split it up a little bit because I don't want this to drag on for too long, I guess. But yeah, so I guess I'd have, a bit to say about what's going on or what's happened this year, because there's a lot that has definitely occurred. Like I started off the year with wanting to do this retro gaming streaming thing where every 2.5 weeks I'd switch to a different game and I'd play it casually and I would learn to speed run it or whatever, however you will. Like that went really well, honestly, for the first quarter of the year. I felt really good about doing that whole entire thing. I was able to try out, mostly just like was pretty obsessed with the 14-inch PVM that I had at the time, because I had a 14M4U at the beginning of the year, and that's pretty much what I primarily played all my games on for the first quarter. So like in hindsight, I definitely look back at the beginning of this year as being pretty successful in terms of what I told myself I wanted to do at the end of last year. So, that went pretty well. I think as far as Super Mario World was fun. I mean, I already did my whole like review video on like that first quarter, because I did a quarter one report at the beginning of April. But so I don't really think I need to reiterate what I did during that period of time, for January, February, and March. So I think I would rather just go over what kind of was going on after that, because there's quite a bit that happened like since April that I did talk about in like my Chrono Trigger video, but I don't know how many people are going to watch that one for the commentary on it or whatever. But it is there, and it does kind of accurately portray some things. But I mean, I guess like my feeling, because that was middle of October, and I think some of my feelings have kind of changed even since then. So I don't mind just kind of reiterating if I did talk about some of that stuff then. But anyway, like, so things were going pretty well with the whole streaming retro games thing. Up until like even until it was like the end of March. I wouldn't even say the entire month of March was like super smooth. The end of March, definitely it started to, there were multiple things that were going on that got me quite depressed. One of the big things that I don't like bringing it up because of how much baggage and just how much controversy and stupid bullshit that comes with mentioning this person, but it is what happened this year, and it did affect me, and it affected a lot of friends that I know. But I'm talking about when Hacks Money passed away in late March. That was kind of the first major thing that happened that just proved to be pretty sad. The very next day after that, the 26th, there is a big tree that was just outside my apartment. Like there's like, I have a nice balcony view, and there's this big tree that was always there, and the day after Hacks passed, that tree got cut down, and so that kind of sucked too, because like that, like why am I like sad about like just some tree getting cut down? Because I really like nature, and I love trees, and I love the shade that they provide, especially when it's like really sunny outside. And that tree was providing shade when I would sit on this like little bench outside to, you know, sit when I was done with walking, or to like read something first thing in the morning. And so when that got removed, didn't have that shade anymore. And so like that made me sad. The big empty space that was left from the tree being taken away or cut down was like saddening for me as well. So those two events, like back to back already, like kind of made the end of March kind of suck. I know I did try to get into speedrunning some Link to the Past, but I kind of not having, what was it, an FX Pack Pro of any kind to actually practice the boss fights definitely kind of sucked, because trying to do them without any sort of practice tool made it pretty annoying to try to even just do Master Sword runs. So I got pretty discouraged pretty quickly from wanting to do anything more with speedrunning there. But like once April gets here, and then I think it was actually at the very end of March, there was like a tournament that I was driving to that was like 2 hours away from me, and I found, so like okay, so yeah, let me back it up a little bit. There was I noticed that my AC wasn't blowing as much cold air anymore, like in the middle of March or something like that. And then so I decided, okay, I think I just need to go and get it filled back up with whatever the hell the fuel's called. I don't remember at this point, but I needed to get it refueled, and I needed to go to a very specific Valvoline that actually had the air conditioning machine in it. And I got it filled up, and it costed me a whole bunch of money because that stuff's really expensive. And I thought it was fine. It felt like it was blowing cold air at first, but then like the very next day when I drive 2 hours to go to a tournament, it ended up not working like the entire time, and I was wondering what the hell was going on. So when I went to get my car looked at from visiting family, I believe in early April, I found out that my car's AC is like totally shot, and the amount of money that it would take to repair the entire thing, because it was like the condenser and the compressor both needed to be replaced and refueled again, of course, because they have to like flush out the entire system or whatever, would have cost me $2,000 at that point in time. And that was kind of like another big mental hit to me, realizing like I'm going to have to drive without AC for a while, or I need to think about getting a new car. So, like kind of both, really. I the first thought that came to mind is like, crap, I really thought I could like have this hold on until the beginning of next year, but I realized, oh shit, I need to get a new car. I need to get this need to start thinking about it now instead of later. But I was really feeling super demotivated to even want to search up cards. Like I was looking them up a little bit, but I didn't want to like actually make any deals. I didn't know for sure what kind of car I even wanted. Like I was still thinking about getting a used car at the time. I wasn't even thinking about getting anything new or getting a different, the approach was literally just, I had a budget where I'm like thinking of, oh, maybe I should spend $10,000 on a used car that's better than what I have for my current used car at the time. But I don't know. I wasn't in a great mental headspace at the time, especially after finding out that like I just don't want to pay that kind of money. I'd rather pay the $2,000 as part of a down payment for a used car or a new car or whatever it might be. So yeah, I just, dealt for most of the summer, pretty much the entire summer, in fact, having no AC, and the only saving grace being that like rolling down my windows would get me there. So like I didn't die like suffering, you know. I still had to drive quite a bit, and it did suck. There are a lot of times where it still sucked a lot, driving in the heat even with the windows down, but it wasn't like super unbearable where I felt like I couldn't drive at all. Like I could at least do my usual errands and things like that, but as far as traveling like longer distances and things like that, it was not really encouraging to do. So I dealt with that, and then there's like, I think a couple other things I don't remember off the top of my head that like basically for like 2 weeks straight, there was like something every day or something that was just like weighing down on me. So I got pretty depressed from late March all the way until like mid-June. And like during that time, it was just like nearly impossible for me to try to stream anything as far as doing the retro gaming streaming stuff. I tried doing Contra 3. I could only do like 2, maybe 3 streams of that. I tried doing Dragon Quest 5. I think I only did 1 stream of that and then didn't continue it at all. There are multiple games I just skipped entirely, and it really just kind of fell apart quickly that I, you know, wasn't going the same cadence that I had done for the first like 3 months of the year, and it really kind of sucked. But the depression just had really like taken hold for pretty much like 2.5 months. It was a long time. Like I was like daily where I kept thinking like I should probably stream, but I just don't feel like it kind of thing. And that was just the pervasive feeling throughout most of April. Other than like me getting obsessed into CRTs in like a little bit of a different way. So I'll go into that here in a sec. So I guess to kind of talk a little bit about the like CRT journey that I took, like at the end of last year, I picked up a 8040 PVM from someone that was selling it nearby. And I also got a 20N2U PVM that was 30 minutes away from me. I got that for $500, which I thought was a pretty good deal at the time. In hindsight, it was probably okay considering most of the higher end 20-inch PVMs are upwards of $2,000. So getting a lower end one for 500 felt fair-ish, I guess. I'm you know, in hindsight, I don't think it was like too terribly bad. And then I bought like one on eBay that was a Samsung 14MV that came in early July, or not July, January, or was it the end of December? It was one of the two. It was something around, I think it was early January that I actually got it, something like that, or maybe it was the very end of December. One of the two. Anyway, the Samsung 14MV was meh. I realized it was kind of lower resolution. I wasn't like super happy with it, and I wanted something a bit beefier. So that's when I got a 14M4U for $670 and had it shipped to me, and it was shipped very well. And I didn't actually get it until after I got back from AGDQ. But that was kind of the first like 4 TVs that I had initially. And then March, mid-March or so, I like got obsessed with the idea of having like what do I think is the perfect ideal small PVM, or like this like small CRT that I really think is cool, you know, and just thought about what I think like this model of 8-inch PVM is really, really sick. And so I went onto eBay and I saw there were actually 2 models that were pretty much basically the same. I saw a 9044Q and an 8044Q on eBay at the same time, and those don't pop up very often, especially being in pretty decent condition. And the 9044Q was a little bit more enticing because it was like an import from Japan specifically. The pull handles were in slightly better condition. They both had green power buttons too, which I also found to be like a very awesome thing about them that made me want to get either of them, but like the one that had the slightly better condition pull handles that weren't like scratched to shit was the 9044Q, and I think that one was like $330 or so total, including shipping and all that, which wasn't really too bad, honestly, especially for like a 9-inch PVM. I think that was actually a pretty good deal. So yeah, I ended up getting one of those because I was obsessed about it, and I was using that near the end, like at the end of March, as like a way to view Twitch chat, like especially during like in my Link to the Past VODs, you can definitely see it there. So it's cool for that. So yeah, but I could only really use it for Twitch chat and really kind of nothing else. And then eventually I liked having there be nothing on top of the PVM. I enjoyed more it having like space so I could see over the desk more easily and stuff. So I ended up just moving that around, and then I kind of started conglomerating all of the PVMs into one side of my apartment, and I was dubbing it CRT Island, essentially, because they were all just kind of being stacked together, and I would use them as like displays, and it was fun to do that for a bit too. Like, what am I thinking? So I got that 9-inch, I got the 9044Q in March, and was, you know, pretty obsessed about it. But then like a month later in April, I started to look at consumer sets. And it was mostly because I had been going to some Melee tournaments locally. Like I hadn't gone to a Melee tournament pretty much since November of 2024. And because of that, I didn't have any real interest in going to tournaments for a while, and the only reason that I actually felt like going to something is because since I got this 9044Q, this 9-inch Sony PVM, and I thought it looked amazing, I wanted to take it with me to some local tournaments and to that one tournament that was 2 hours away in March with my car AC not working and the like. So I brought those with me, and the local, especially the local that's like 8 minutes away from me, I did it for that one as well. And it was very apparent to me, like immediately, even with the 9044Q and how kind of bright it gets, like it still felt kind of dim compared to every other consumer set, and especially the 8040. The 8040 had like actually just has a problem where it just can't get that bright at all. And when you have a whole bunch of like card shop LED lights above you that are blaringly bright, then it makes a kind of dim CRT screen a bit hard to see. So it was novel and it was cute, but like that was like one of the things I noticed immediately. It was like, you know, maybe it's not the best idea to use just these PVMs, because, and it's not really had anything to do with the size, it had to do with like the brightness that they would showcase. So that made me start thinking, well, you know, all these other guys have these consumer sets and their TVs, you know, have a very good brightness to them. And I'm thinking maybe I need to start looking at consumer sets. So I end up looking around on Marketplace, and I find a Sony KV 13M42 that's down like not even an hour and a half away from me. I got it for $140. And it turned out to actually be not too terrible of a condition. It did need to get fixed up by a friend of mine, but it turned out to look really, really good, to the point where it basically just this one TV, because I'd basically been only obsessed about PVMs. I didn't care like at all about consumer sets. I slowly but surely got more and more obsessed with this consumer set because it was looking so impressively good for it being a composite only set. It only did composite. Like I was kind of obsessed with all the PVM stuff because, you know, I like the highest possible picture quality on a CRT tube. And I was doing component video and I was obsessed with S video at first at the end of 2024. And then I slowly migrated to being obsessed about component because the SNES can actually support component output with, HD Retrovision cables and all that. And so that was a big thing that I was really into. But when I realized that, composite quality actually doesn't look that bad, like it, especially on Sony sets from the late 90s that look particularly sharp and all that, like there was like, it's kind of hard to describe, but there's like a softness to the pixels on the screen that I really liked and I was really enjoying, especially when I was playing like Halo 2 on it. And I'm like, wow, like the original intention for me picking up that CRT was to take it with me to Melee tournaments and to have people play on it. But it ended up becoming more... Oh, wait, I got a little bit ahead of myself. Whoops. So it wasn't actually the KV-12M42 that I got. That wasn't the first consumer set. The first actual consumer set that I got was this 9-inch symphonic TV that came with a case. I saw it on eBay, but it was like 30 minutes away from me, and I got it for like $80. And the carrying case that was attached to it was probably worth quite a bit just on its own. But I don't think the guy knew better, and I would take that deal. And honestly, the picture on that thing was looking pretty darn good for it being a consumer set. But then I also was thinking about, I think what led me to the 13M42 was I was thinking like, I like the 14-inch sets that I have for PVMs, but if I wanted to think about what's my favorite consumer set design that I definitely would want to own, I did a whole bunch of research on CRT database, and I was able to find that the 13M42 design and adjacent designs like the 13M20 and the like, I think, and M10 are all kind of have the same similar chassis design, but the 42 is the latest model of that design. And I was like, that's probably about what I am interested in as far as, I guess, consumer sets. Like if I had to choose like one consumer set that I think looks the coolest, just purely from a design perspective, I'd choose that one. And then lo and behold, once I figure that out, like few days later on a Friday, I just find out that there's like 2 listings not too far away. And I got a response basically almost immediately, went and picked it up, got it fixed up and everything. And once it was fully calibrated and all that, it was like, I was just so enamored with how amazingly good it looked. I was like, damn, this looks super duper sharp. This is really, really nice looking for a composite only set. It was just blowing my mind that a composite only set could look that good. And I know another reason that model of CRT was very sought after is because it's RGB moddable and component moddable. You can mod it to output S-video and RGB and component and just pretty much everything. So not only is it one of the best looking tubes in general, but having the ability to mod it to output a higher signal or a higher resolution signal or whatever is really cool. So if I ever want to mod it myself or have someone that mods it, which I didn't know anyone that's able to actually mod CRTs, let alone anyone nearby that could do that. So I haven't tried to seek that out from anyone yet, nor have I tried to do it myself because I don't really want to mess with soldering, and I'm already pretty darn happy with how it looks just from a composite point of view. So I didn't really ever feel the need to do it component mod it, but it is nice to know that I can modify it if I want to. So, and it'll probably last me for quite a long period of time. But yeah, the goal for the symphonic, or like the reason I was looking for like a 9-inch consumer set is because, I thought that my 9044Q was bright enough and worked pretty well for people being willing to play on it. And then the 8040 was just not quite big enough, but I had 2 Wiis to make setups for, so I wanted to bring like 2 small TVs with me to tournaments. And so that was the initial reason for getting that symphonic consumer set. With the carrying case, I was able to carry it, by its handle pretty much anywhere super duper easily. So that was like one of the big selling points for me on that one. So I got it a bit wrong with the timeline. I didn't actually go to that tournament that's 2 hours away with the broken AC stuff until I got that Symphonic consumer set that was the like very end of March. Like that was like March 29th or something, like the very, very end of March. But that tournament was when I had the 9-inch Symphonic and the 9044Q. I did not bring the 8040 with me. I only tested the 8040 at that one local that's 8 minutes away from me at a local card shop. So, and it was only needed one test run for me to conclude like, okay, it's too dim. I need something that's brighter. So when I brought it to the tournament 2 hours away, cool. People gave some good feedback about it, saying like, oh, it's, it looks like it feels like I'm playing Slippy because, it's for Melee tournaments, and Slippy is like what people play on their computers. So people were comparing emulator quality to that small 9-inch PVM that I had, because it was 450 lines TV lines resolution, which is pretty darn high. It did kind of almost look like a little computer screen. Like you almost couldn't see any scan lines at all unless you got really up close. So it was very, very high fidelity PVM for that reason. But a lot of people didn't play on it because it was just a little bit too small. Like I think only one tournament set was played that entire day on that setup, and I think maybe only one friendly. It really wasn't touched very much. It was played very little compared to the Symphonic set, so the viewing size of the screen for the 9-inch PVM is actually not 9 inches. It's 7.5. It's quite a little bit smaller than the Symphonic was. But the Symphonic, when I measured it out from corner to corner, since it's like rounded corners or whatever, so that kind of helps a bit, but like that was actually 9 inches. So it being a little bit bigger, a little bit higher up, because it's a combo set that has a VCR in it that doesn't work, of course. So but I didn't care about that because I was primarily using it as a Melee setup. But people were playing on that, and people played tournament sets on it, and they were fine with that. And they had no issues with, like, I don't think even most people noticed that there was even a scratch on that CRT, because there's a little bit of a scratch in the glass, but you can't really see it unless like you look for it a little bit. Other than that, it's like basically perfect. Like the convergence on it and everything was like, wow, this is a really nice one that I happened to pick up. It needed like no real fixing, and the on-screen menu to adjust like the brightness and contrast and those basic values was all like within the buttons on the front of the TV. So I didn't like need a remote for it or anything. Like it was pretty like for an all around like portable, nice TV to like take with me to Melee tournaments. Like this was the perfect TV for exactly that. So I was really, really happy to get that and bring that with me. So it was like off the bat, that TV was a complete and total success, but the 9044Q proved to be just a bit too small for people being willing to play on. Like I asked around, like people were saying, yeah, I'd be down to play friendlies on that, but I don't think I'd play tournament. And I wanted to obviously bring setups to help make tournaments run along more smoothly. So it would be pointless to bring this up that people don't want to play on because it's just a little bit too small. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to get the 9044Q, and maybe I should look for another CRT to bring with me because I didn't want to bring my like expensive big PVMs that were a bit heavy and take a long time to like carry. I kind of wanted to try to bring something with me that didn't take a lot of manpower to build or take with me. But I also had the idea of, I was like really motivated in April to want to like host a tournament or fests or whatever at my actual apartment. And I thought about the logistics of, moving my table around and all that, and fitting as many setups as I could. And I was thinking like, oh, I could like fit 3 smaller TVs on like one table, like another over there, and then like one next to my desk, and yada yada, a whole like I was thinking I could fit like 8 total or something, but like wanted to have something like a consumer set that's like 13 inches that would fit on my table pretty well. And that's kind of where I started thinking about the whole, oh, what's the consumer set that I want to get? And yada, yada. I researched on CRT database, found the model that I liked, went on Marketplace, found the model being listed, bought it, brought it back with me. And then I just basically, so now these two CRTs that I pretty much was bringing with me exclusively for Melee tournaments and pretty much nothing else, were just added to this collection of CRTs that I had against a wall. So at this time, I think I had like 6 CRTs or 7 or something. Like it was starting to get to be a lot, and it was starting to be a bit crowded, but I had a whole bunch of cool CRTs and these cool things to like look at. And CRT Island 1.0 was really coming along. I took a lot of pictures of my CRTs throughout the months of March and April and May. Because that was really the period of time that I was like super duper obsessed with CRTs, like ridiculous. Like I was thinking about that stuff like every day. I was looking at listings on Marketplace and the whole 9 yards. So yeah, I was very, very CRT hyper focused during those like 3 months. So like, I guess during my kind of depressive period, that was kind of what I was focused on. But I guess also it was kind of like a negative feedback loop, because all the CRT hunting and whatnot like proved to be a bit stressful, especially when I felt like I had to buy something on eBay and wait for it to be shipped and hoping to God that I didn't get damaged in shipping and all that. And it was rough. There were many times where I'd be super duper obsessed about a particular model of CRT that I wanted, to the point where I would literally be nonstop thinking about it for multiple days in a row. And at that point, I just would decide, like, screw it. I need to buy this thing, because I can't stop. If I'm thinking about it this much, to the point where I'm obsessing over it, and it just tells me that I really want it badly. So I just would decide to buy CRTs kind of on a whim, just like that. And so I'll get to more of that in a bit, because it kind of did continue to persist even like throughout June a bit. But yeah, so I get this 13M42. I like play Halo 2 on it and everything. And like, not only was I really impressed with how good it looked, in composite video, but I was also impressed at how good the speakers sound. Even though it's mono speaker, it sounded still pretty darn good for a consumer CRT set. I mean PVM speakers don't sound all that great, if really at all. So I think like the 13M42 pretty much was like the only CRT that I had that just sounded good, especially considering it was mono. Like it wasn't stereo at all. And it's just like, wow, this thing like actually does bass like kind of decently for built-in speakers on a CRT. Like, this is really not that bad. Like, Sony knew what the hell they were doing. They just made a good all-around CRT set. Like, I was like really impressed with the craftsmanship of what they were able to do in the late 90s. It blows my mind. Like, those are really some of the best CRTs that you can get are the ones from like the late 90s. It's actually in some cases early 2000s, but like especially the like jet black curved Sony consumer sets from late 90s are just those are an aesthetic. I will always have a deep appreciation for those sets, because I think those are like the coolest ones by far. So yeah, I was obsessed over the 13M42, and I think as time went on, I started thinking about like what other consumer sets I wanted to get, and obsessing over like different listings that I was seeing and seeing what I was interested in. I know I took a very particular interest into the JVC D series of CRTs and me really badly wanting one, and sometimes finding a listing or two of it, especially during May. Like the month of May, there was like one that popped up that I was extremely tempted to try to pick up, but decided against it because it felt like it was going to be a big I mean, it was a kind of a big TV. I think it was a 27-inch one or a 32-inch one, so it was going to be heavy / I didn't know if I could really fit it in my car / there's probably something better maybe that I could get, or maybe I don't need to replace my Panasonic or whatever. I ended up deciding not to get it, even though I was kind of obsessed about it for some time. Because I think that's one of the coolest designed consumer sets for at least like 27 inches and higher. But Sony definitely had it as far as 20 inches and lower sets, like consumer sets. That they were, I was just like obsessed with Sony consumer sets, past a certain point. So yeah, like I just like literally like throughout like March, April, May, even most of June to an extent, it was really just heavily focused on CRT stuff. I remember when I did get my, like, because at first my 13M42 was not being used for stream at all. It was only part of the CRT island and being used for taking to Melee tournaments and the like, but I ended up just getting so obsessed over it that I actually converted my component and PVM stream setup to instead use my composite CRTs. And so I started that when I was doing my Ogre Battle playthrough, and I was really enjoying that. Like I actually really didn't mind the capture quality being reduced by a bit. Just, it's not as sharp as, the component video quality, but I was really, really enjoying that. I didn't think it was that much of a downgrade going to composite, so especially because I already had like a RetroTink and an Elgato to begin with, so it was like, yeah, no, this is not really that big of a deal, and I just liked the aesthetic a lot of the 13M42, and using it for stream at the time felt like a good thing to do. So yeah, I played through Ogre Battle. I was kind of getting a bit back into the streaming, but I only did like 4 streams of Ogre Battle because like each chapter is super duper long and you can't save in the middle of a chapter. And so I only ended up doing like 4 streams because the sessions had to be long by that nature. And I started to get kind of tired of having these long sessions that I felt like I had to finish because of the way that saving the game works and all that. So I just kind of stopped after a few sessions. I didn't do a full 2.5 weeks of that game. And then I kind of went back to not really doing much of anything for quite a while. And that's just how that ended up happening for a bit. I started to get out of my depressive slump in the middle of June, and I was starting to feel a good bit better, but I was still pretty heavily obsessed with CRTs to the point where at the end of June, I remember very distinctly obsessing so much over wanting to get a 20-inch Sony consumer set. And there was a lot of different models that I was willing to be okay with. And there were some that I saw that weren't like too far of a drive, where they had some deal breaker problems with them that I wasn't willing to put up with. Like I wanted something that was actually genuinely pretty good, and preferably a model that I thought was really, really awesome looking. And so I had been kind of like looking around for like several weeks throughout June to try to find something that I was interested in looking at. And I came across a listing on eBay for a 20M20, and I knew it was overpriced because, eBay always overprices things like dramatically, especially when it comes to CRTs. But because it was such a good looking, like the condition of the set was really, really pristine, and I was very impressed with the photos that I saw, and I had like no issues, and it wasn't going to be shipped from too far away, so I wasn't that worried about it receiving any damage. And I was just like obsessing over it, and I hated spending like, what was it, $340 or something. I don't remember how much I spent on it, but I spent a lot, and I spent, definitely way too much but I was just obsessed with it, and I had to get it. So I bought that at the end of June, and it shipped to me. And God, this is like, it's kind of crazy to think about like the series of events. So like at the end of June, I just get obsessed with a 20-inch CRT set because I just so badly wanted a 20-inch CRT, because I just for some reason thought I already have like a 13-inch set, I have the 9-inch sets, and then next I wanted the 20-inch, and I already had a 27-inch that was pretty good. So clearly I want a 20-inch. That's the only other model size I haven't gotten, and I was just obsessing about it so damn much. So I buy that at the end of June, and it takes like a week or so for it to ship to me. While it's being shipped, so July 1st comes around, and I decide, okay, I'm done feeling like I've gotten out of my depressive slump. I feel like I'm ready to kind of get back into streaming again. I'm glad I had like the little thing with Ogre Battle a little bit. Like that was kind of fun, but it didn't last very long. But I was ready to be dedicated to picking up a game and getting back into it and getting back on my regular cadence of playing through games. So on July 1st, I decided, or I think even just before that, like I think at the very end of June, I decided, all right, starting in July, I'm going to play through Secret of Mana. The plan was to play through the entirety of Secret of Mana, get back on my schedule that I was doing, and stream and all that, and it was going to be great and do all that. So I start my stream on the night of July 1st, and it was going pretty well, and I had my 20-inch PVM set up in such a way that it kind of like was a placeholder while I was waiting for my 20M20 to arrive from being shipped to me. So I was using that and putting it on top of like a box so that it could be next to my streaming setup off to the side, because that was like the initial plan. But it would just be a placeholder for the meantime while I play through Secret of Mana. So the night of the 1st, things are going pretty well, but I noticed as time goes on, there's a storm happening outside, and it starts picking up like pretty severely. And it's thundering a whole lot and lightning a whole bunch. And I'm like, damn, this rain is really coming down. Like I kept, seeing like the flashes of lightning outside. So I'm like, this is a pretty, tense thunderstorm. And I wasn't like, I've been through lots of thunderstorms ever since living here in the past that have been of the same intensity, and I've never lost power or anything like that. So I was not worried that like, oh, I should maybe like stop stream because my internet might get cut out or anything like that. Like that never like happened. So I, just kept going and was just like, man, it sure is thundering out there. And then like at 8:34 p.m. on July 1st, I get just all of a sudden, just out of complete nowhere, there's super bright flash outside and an incredibly super loud thunder crash sound happened, and it was just all so sudden, and it was also immediate, and I was like shell shocked practically from how immediately intense it was. Like I was like an immediate adrenaline rush through my body from that happening, because I could tell instantly that like there was a lightning strike that happened like just outside. It like my initial thinking was that this lightning bolt happened like in the parking lot just outside my apartment. But I get up and I go outside after hearing that, like to investigate, and it hit the tree that's just outside my apartment. It was actually even closer than I thought. It like went straight down the tree from the tip all the way to the base where the roots are and into the ground, and it shredded off multiple branches, like several like really large branches, like basically exploded at the top, and a lot of the bark had been like stripped off of one side. I took a whole bunch of pictures of it and everything, but this tree got absolutely annihilated by that lightning strike. And it was like, whoa, I've never had a lightning strike hit that close to me before. So little did I know that was going to cause some pretty drastic repercussions down the line. Starting immediately with like the very, very first thing that I noticed, because I actually had a couple CRTs on behind me while I was playing Secret of Mana, and I noticed every single CRT that I had on immediately got like green or purple or what, like whatever color, purity issue immediately, like in like a specific section on the CRTs. And I'm like, oh damn, that's kind of crazy. Thankfully, two of my sets, being Sony sets, have their own degaussing methods. So literally they were easily fixed by just turning them off and turning them back on. And then the one that didn't, the Symphonic, the 9-inch Symphonic was, didn't have really its own degaussing. So I had to use one of my little like magnets. I had like a little light magnet that I would use to kind of get it to fix its purity. So I was able to fix the purity in all the TVs that I had on. But I also had, it's really funny, I had two PVMs sitting on the floor. The one that was on the bottom was my Samsung 14MV, and that got unaffected. But on top of it was my 14M4U, and I didn't find out until like weeks later that the lightning actually affected that TV, and it caused an impurity issue in that one as well, that I needed my friend to use his degaussing ring on in order to fix. So that was kind of crazy to find that out later. So like that's how close a lightning bolt was, that it actually caused magnetic impurities in my CRT TVs. Like that's the insane part to me. Also, it knocked out my internet like instantly. So my stream obviously didn't get to like witness any of the lightning strike or any of that. Like it literally cut off like right when the lightning happened, basically. So you don't ever actually see it, but it did happen there. So I had no internet for like 3 days straight, and that kind of blew. So and it also, when the internet service returned, I still couldn't connect because my modem router one piece thing, whatever, got fried. Like it would turn on and it would show the power button being illuminated and all that, but it wouldn't connect to it would show nothing, no blinking light or anything for the Wi-Fi or any kind of internet. So I was like, man, I guess I need to go get a new one. So I had to go to the Spectrum store and get a new one and all that, set it back up and whatever. So that like took a whole bunch of time and effort just to get my internet back. And then my motherboard in my computer, so like I didn't notice something was wrong immediately because my computer was actually still on after the lightning strike happened, and things felt fine for like an hour and a half or so until it was like 10:30 or something, and I noticed that when I tried to like close OBS or I tried to close certain programs, that they weren't closing, and that I couldn't open Task Manager to try to force close them and stuff like that. And I'm like, something feels wrong here. So I turn off my PC and try to turn it back on again, and it won't boot properly. And I get like a two little lights on the motherboard that don't normally light up, and I'm like, oh great. So I think my motherboard might have gotten fried and all that, which is fantastic because like it had been a little over a year since I damaged the previous motherboard. So great to know that like lightning has just trashed it. So the like very next day I needed to, because I couldn't even get the thing to boot into Windows or anything. It's like, yep, I think it's a motherboard problem. So I had to take it to a nearby PC repair place, and it took them 12 days to replace the motherboard, and that was a real pain in the ass because I was hoping I was not gonna have to be on like my backup laptop, because I got a backup laptop last year because I fucked up the motherboard then, and I just like couldn't deal without having a PC for too long. So that's when I bought like $1,000 gaming laptop of sorts as a backup. And so it's like, cool, I have my backup laptop, so I can just be on that for a bit. But I didn't expect that my PC would be in the shop for 12 days because they needed to order a new motherboard and everything, and costed me like almost $400 and all that. And I was like, man, this just sucks. So I was pretty annoyed by that. And so obviously with all this happening with the lightning, like destroying my internet and not having internet for a few days, not even having a computer, I did do a few streams on my backup laptop, but I didn't go back to the consistent schedule like that I thought I would, because I thought it's funny how like the lightning strike genuinely derailed so much stuff for me at this point in time. It was like I didn't like get depressed, I don't think, but it certainly really made things annoying to deal with, and just further delayed things, and it really kind of sucked. So I finally get my PC back after 12 days, and then I learn that my Valve Index also got toasted by the lightning strike, because when I tried plugging it in and turning it on and trying to get into VR, it wouldn't even give me a single light that it was even plugged in and receiving power. Like normally when you even have it plugged into an outlet, it at least shows like blue lights or red lights in the headset. Nope, I got no lights whatsoever. And I tried multiple different things. I even tried buying a new power adapter in the hopes that it was just the power adapter and not the headset itself. And it turned out that the extra power adapter did not help. And so I was like, damn, I don't have a VR headset anymore. It got creamed by the lightning as well. So I'm like, great. Well, I've had my Index for 4.5 years, and I don't think I want to just buy another Index because I have had it for so long. I think I'd rather get something new and different, and whatever's like considered to be the best thing on the market right now. So the first thing I thought of was getting a big screen Beyond 2E, and I ordered that pretty soon after finding out that my Index was fried in like late July. Thing is, I knew it was going to take a while for it to get to me, but the initial estimation when I first ordered it was that I was going to receive it sometime in like early to mid-September. That did not end up being the case. There were several delays throughout those following months to where it was then delayed to late September, then early October, and then like not until maybe Halloween. And it was like, oh my God, like every time I like saw a delay and that I further was not being in VR during that period of time, like it sucked. It genuinely made me pretty sad and depressed to just like further not be in VR and be subject to just only being in desktop. Like I did the best that I could do being stuck in desktop during those like near 4 months of being out of VR, but like I don't really ever want to go back to doing that. Like I might hop in desktop for a little bit here and there, but primarily when I play VR chat, it's like I want to be in VR. But yeah, that wait was so stupid long, and yet when I look back on it, it's like it sucked in the moment because I had no idea when the hell I was getting this headset at all, and I was just like, oh my gosh, when is this thing going to get here? I just want this to get here to me already. Like pretty much throughout the entire month of October, I'm just like, when's it getting to me? I want it already. Like I was dying for it. I was like practically desperate for it. It was really, really rough. So finally getting it on October 27th was like, Jesus, man, it's been basically 4 months. That is absurd. Good Lord. Worth the wait though? In a way, yeah. Like this headset's really light. It's comfy. I can feel like I can do a good bit more with it than I did with the Index, and its higher resolution and stuff like that. Like I've already kind of written a little bit of like first impressions of it, and they're all good, and I still enjoy the headset even now, and I imagine this will still last me for quite a while. So yeah, I've definitely enjoyed it. So yeah, that whole lightning thing happened right at the beginning of the second half of the year, literally July 1st. Crazy, right? So in the interim of me waiting in my VR, I got my PC back and everything else is like kind of fine. And I'm like, okay, well, I am going to try to get, streaming more Secret of Mana, like trying to finish Secret of Mana, because like the plan was to start Secret of Mana at the beginning of July and then take 2.5 weeks, so that like by the time July 18th or 19th comes around or something like that, I'd switch to the next game. But I didn't actually finish Secret of Mana until August like 12th or something. I was like, it was like almost the middle of August, so it took me like a month and a half to actually like take the time to finish that game. But I'm glad I did, because I had only gotten, I don't even know if I got halfway through in the prior year playing it on an emulator, but I wanted to finish it on an actual cartridge and the whole and I'm really glad I did. I'm glad I streamed that entire thing, because I actually ended up warming up to Secret of Mana quite a bit, even if the last like third of the game's boss fights felt really stale after a certain point. And I was really kind of getting annoyed by that. Like, that's the only part that wasn't really fun, but everything else about the game was actually pretty charming, and I liked it, and I still think the ending is really nice, and obviously the music is amazing. So, but yeah, I didn't finish Secret of Mana till middle of August, and so the reason why, and so like I was really, really slow throughout July and throughout the big, like, I think the first like 5 days of August or so. It wasn't until like I think August 5th where I'm like, okay, I need to lock the hell in, because I have some games coming up that I want to start playing, especially when because like in June there was the state of play that happened, the Sony PlayStation state of play that happened, and I saw that Giant Squid's next game, called Sword of the Sea, was coming out, and I was like, oh yeah, I was, I like didn't know that they even were about to release their next game, because I had played Abzu like a very long time ago, and I played the Pathless more recently in 2022, like nearly 3 years ago at that point, and I'm like, oh, this is their next game. Like, this looks awesome. It looks really cool and very pretty. So like, of course I'm going to want to play it. But I didn't know the release date at the time. And it wasn't until I saw a week before it released on August 19th. So the 12th of August, basically the same day that I finished Secret of Mana, is also the day that I see that on Spotify, there is a week-long countdown leading to Austin Wintory's, OST of Sword of the Sea. And I'm like, wait, is that when the game comes out? And yes, it actually was. So I made a pivot to, because at first I was playing Secret of Mana because I had there was a couple of games on my list that I wasn't really caring too much to do. Like, I think I completely skipped Star Fox for one. I don't remember what other games I ended up deciding to skip, but I did not want to skip Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem. I actually wanted to play that one because I had a good feeling that I was going to enjoy that, but my time was running out for trying to finish Secret of Mana and then start Fire Emblem, and then there's another, and then because the plan was I was going to actually start getting into speedrunning Super Metroid starting on August 23rd. I had this whole plan throughout the entire, basically throughout most of this year, that I was gonna this whole retro game streaming list and everything. I had Super Metroid listed very specifically to start August 23rd, and I was going to speed run and learn KPDR, like all that. I was going to take 2.5 weeks just to learn the speedrun, because I already played the game casually and even got pretty far in doing a 100% playthrough. So I felt pretty satisfied with trying to do it casually. But from watching Super Metroid speedruns throughout the last like 2 years, I'm like, oh, or a year and a half, I should say. I'm like, I really felt like I wanted to get into trying to learn the speedrun for Super Metroid. So it was all culminating. This was all planned like since basically the beginning of the year, or the very end of last year in 2024, where I was trying to plan for this, and like I wanted to build up eventually to learning to speedrun Super Metroid, because I knew I wanted to do it because it looked like an amazing game to try to speedrun and get into. So August gets here and I'm like, oh crap, I have let this whole like not even really procrastination, but like let this demotivated depresso stuff that prevented me from streaming is caught up to me now. And I'm like, if I want to like finish Secret of Mana and spend time on Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem so that I can be ready to do the full thing of Super Metroid, I need to start doing something like right freaking now. So I go and do it. I'm like, all right, cool. I got to lock in and I'm going to just stream Secret of Mana. I don't know. I don't think it was daily. Was it daily? I don't remember, but I did it like very, very frequently to where it's like, okay, I need to try to like get this like done. I need to finish this game. So for like a week straight or something like that, like I think pretty sure it was like the 5th through the 12th or something like that. I was just Secret of Mana. I'm like, I need to get through this game. And then Sword of the Sea gets announced for August 19th, and I'm like, oh, shoot. Great. I definitely do want to stream that, and I want to play it and all this, but like because it's like right before the Super Metroid stuff, I'm like, maybe what I can do is I can like switch around some games, because originally on the list I had Kirby's Dream Course and Super Punch Out, and I'd not sure if I could really have seen myself playing either of those games for 2.5 weeks, let alone even really trying to speedrun them. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to push this game, and I believe it was also Final Fantasy VI as well, because Final Fantasy VI was the game right afterwards. I'm going to push both of these games after, like later in like October, so that I give myself time to play Sword of the Sea, and initially it was just Super Metroid. I wasn't even trying to move Final Fantasy VI, but so it's just funny thing about like August, because August was like hectic for that kind of reason. So I finished Secret of Mana. I very unfortunately only streamed 3 sessions of Fire Emblem, and each one was like pretty short. I did 2.5 or so hour sessions of Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem, and I did one more that was like 3.5 hours, because I was really engrossed in a specific chapter that was actually really fun to do. And I had a lot of fun with it, and I was also like, dang it, like I wonder, I think it was the 18th of August where I did my last Mystery of the Emblem stream, or maybe it was the 17th. It was something like very, very close to like Sword of the Sea being released, and I'm like, I would love to keep playing Mystery of the Emblem, but I've just run out of time, and it sucks, but I really want to be on time with starting Sword of the Sea. Like I actually want to try to play this game on launch when it releases tomorrow on the 19th, and I did end up doing that. And you know, basically the rest is history from that point on, because I play it casually the 19th and the 20th. I finish it on the 20th. I spent like 6 hours total playing through the game and just immediately falling in love with it. And also on the 20th, finding out about the new game plus and the fact that you can generate boost orbs wherever you want, essentially, with the Wisp cloak. And I was immediately just thinking, oh my god, this is going to be awesome to speedrun. Like, I already felt like the speedrunning of this game, just from playing it casually in the new game mode, was like going to be kind of interesting to see and explore, especially for like a brand new game. But then once I got to the new game plus stuff, I was like, oh my good god, this is so sick. I just immediately hopped into the Giant Squid speedrunning Discord and just like went to work. And very, very quickly, I found my calling, essentially, with Sword of the Sea. Like, part of the reason why I was getting depressed also back in like April, May, and June or so, another thing that an intrusive thought that kept coming in my head was like, I just want to have a game that I can focus on, that I feel fulfilled by. Like, I want a speed run game to be involved with, and like, for some reason I didn't feel like it was Super Metroid there, because Super Metroid felt more like a spectator kind of thing, and like I didn't really have like the tools quite yet to do it. I couldn't get myself the motivation to do it, but I like craved so badly, because I kept thinking about the speed running stuff that I did in 2021 and 2022 with Diabolical and Quake, and how badly I missed being parts of those speedrun communities. And I'm just like, when am I gonna find like some game that I can obsess over and be a part of that speedrunning community? I just was thinking about that a lot earlier in the year, and then lo and behold, Sword of the Sea comes along. Not only is it a game that I am like obsessed with speed running, but it's a brand spanking new game. It's a game that like just freshly released, and people are just swarming it, trying to learn stuff about how things work and all that. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. This is like so cool. And there's like a bunch of people that are interested in trying to speed run the thing. And that's all like fine and dandy and everything. Oh yeah, one other thing I should probably mention. The day, literally, this, oh my god, it's so crazy. August was such an insane month. The more I think about it, August was really an insane month. The day that Sword of the Sea releases on August 19th is also the day that Team Cherry makes an official announcement of an announcement, basically saying, they're like, hey, in 2 days, we're going to announce something about Silksong. And everyone's like, oh shit, it's happening. Like, for real this time. Like, no more getting baited about a direct or about a games conference or whatever, hearing it from different sources, hearing it from fucking the Xbox ROG Ally or whatever the hell. Like, we're hearing it straight from the source, straight from Team Cherry themselves. And they dropped that announcement the day that Sword of the Sea releases. And I'm like, this is really happening. What the hell? I'm like, this has to be a release date, right? Like, for 2 days, I'm just thinking like, oh my god, like, I'm playing through Sword of the Sea, but also like Silksong might have a release date soon. I'm like, oh, Silksong, please, like, can you just have a release date in like October or something? Like middle October, that'd be perfect. Like, please, can you do that? And then 2 days later, August 21st comes around. What do you know? They announce a release date, and it was, I don't think anyone expected it to be what it ended up being. Holy. When that trailer was done and that shit said September 4th, 2 weeks from that day, I was like, dude, no fucking way. 2 weeks? What do you mean I have 2 weeks? 2 weeks for Silksong? What the fuck's going on? Are you kidding me? Holy Jesus. Like, it was just blowing my mind. Like, I was like, wow, I cannot. It's like, first, Sword of the Sea comes out, and it's like, easily like one of my favorite like games that have come out this year, probably like just the favorite game at the time. And then I have like the other indie game studio that I've been waiting on their game for like 7-8 years now, they're now have a release date, and they're 2 weeks apart from me. They're like 16 days apart from each other. I'm like, this is unprecedented. This is insane. This will probably never ever happen again. Where literally my two favorite game developers, period, are releasing within such a short time frame of each other. And I'm like, I'm freaking out over here. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually crazy. Like, it's awesome that Silksong's releasing so soon, but that also means, fuck, I only have 2 weeks to do things with Sword of the Sea. So I'm like, great. This derails things even more. Now, instead of just moving Super Metroid down, I have to move Final Fantasy VI, because I was planning on doing that after Super Metroid. And doing all that, and it's because I'm like, I really want to make sure I put the time into Sword of the Sea, because I'm going to be pretty heavily focused on this game. And then during that 2 weeks, mod applications come through, and I decide to apply being a mod, because I'm like, I feel like I'm going to continue doing Sword of the Sea stuff for quite a while, so I'm going to apply to be mod. And then I got it, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. This is actually really kind of cool. And then I suggest another friend of mine, or someone else in the community that ends up becoming a friend and talking in VCs. And I'm like, hey, can we have her join the mod team too? Because we're getting a whole lot of people submitting stuff and all that at the time. And then she joins the mod team, and that's great and amazing. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And it's such a shame that once Silksong gets here, half the community is going to drop off and play that. It's I'm just I know this is going to be an inevitability, so I might as well try to soak up as much of this time as I can and try to play the game a bunch and learn to speed run it and have the discussions that need to be had and get things established. And when the leaderboards officially open up on speedrun.com, that we're ready to have people submit and everything, it was a whole process, a whole, just that, again, that 2 weeks, first 2 weeks of the game being out was peak, probably one of my favorite times of this entire year. And I don't know when I'm going to see something like that again, but I want to so badly see something like that again at some point in the future. But man, I think about that part of the year extremely fondly. Probably like I said, my favorite part of the year was that. So, God, I shift my plan to be all right, let me do Sword of the Sea all the way up until Silksong. And then for Silksong, I am going to dedicate basically the entire month of September to playing Silksong. Woohoo, let's go. I cannot wait to play the ever-loving shit out of Silksong and do this constantly and beat the game and maybe even try to get into speedrunning that. But I realized as the days kept going on, and as the release of Silksong kept leading up towards it more and more, I really felt so strongly a pull to just keep doing stuff with Sword of the Sea. I'm like, I really don't want to stop doing Sword of the Sea stuff, but I know Silksong's on the horizon, and it's just it was such a tough decision. But I'm like, I want to stick to my whole schedule thing. I'm still going to do Silksong. I've been anticipating this game for so long. I just need to do. I'm going to do it. But I immediately after Silksong, I'm like, okay, I need to think about maybe I still try to do. I wasn't planning on only doing Silksong stuff during September. I wanted to do Sword of the Sea speedrun stuff just offline but adjacent to Silksong during September. I was trying to formulate this whole plan of how this would work and all that, and figuring it out all in my mind. And so Sword of the Sea stuff goes pretty darn well. And then Silksong release, the 4th of September gets here, and Silksong releases, and I did not buy it on launch. I think I got depressed again. I don't remember why exactly, but I felt not quite motivated to buy the game quite yet. I bought it for 2 different friends the day that it released, or I bought it for myself the day it released, and I bought it for a friend the day it released, but I didn't play it until 2 days later on the 6th. So I play it finally on the 6th, I have like a whole speech, a whole spiel about I've been waiting for this game forever, and how many things have changed since I played the first Hollow Knight and yada yada, and I'm so, like, it's surreal to me that Silksong is here and I'm finally getting to play it, and then I play it for like 4 hours, and then I never touch it again. For the whole rest of this year, I have not touched Silksong a single time since that one stream on September 6th. And you're probably wondering what happened. You've been anticipating this game for so damn long. Why'd you just stop cold turkey like that? Well, because later that day, when I was going to visit a friend an hour and a half away to go to a retro gaming store and buy some stuff, my car had problems yet again. I didn't even talk about oh my gosh, there's the whole, like, me getting sick. I think several times, and like one of them I was like not feeling very good going to a big retro gaming convention thing that was in June, and some dude on a motorcycle like sideswiped the front of my car, and it didn't cause any damage to the car besides like some cosmetic damage to the front bumper and everything. And it was like, you know, I was already thinking like I'm on my way out with this car here pretty soon. But then, you know, later that day, September 6th, I'm on the highway and my serpentine belts just die on me, and then I'm like, I can't steer, and my like steering wheel like locks up, and I'm like, oh shit, this is really bad. I need to get off the road. And it was like spooky because it was also raining really heavy and everything like that, and I was just like, this sucks. And I had to get my car towed, and I had to take it to the repair place, and I couldn't hang out with that friend anymore because I was like, yeah, my car broke down, this sucks. And I basically made it like that, this is the last straw, I'm not doing this anymore. I need to get a new car at this point in time. And like, I talked to my dad about it, and he says, you need to get a new, like, you're doing well financially, like I don't think you shouldn't have to deal with the worry of owning a used car and still having to make repairs on it and stuff. Like, just buy a new car, get yourself something nice, you will be able to pay it off in due time and all that. And I'm like, you know what, you're probably right, I probably should actually get myself a new car. So I made it a focal point that before October I was to get a new car, and that's pretty much what most of my focus was going into for the month of September. Also in September, I got a little obsessed again about another CRT. Like, oh my god. I got obsessed again about like another CRT because I was looking at 9-inch Sony consumer sets and thinking, oh, you know what? The 9PT20 is like such a cool, cute little, like, I love the design of it. It's like a mini version of the 13M42, which is a mini version of the 20M20. And it's like, oh, it'd be so cool to have like just all of these. And I'm just like, screw it, I guess I'll buy one off eBay. And God, I have like a whole ass story about buying it from that guy, but this stupid video is already longer than I originally anticipated because I just love rambling. I guess I love just talking about stuff because I don't get to do this very often. Whatever. But yeah, I bought a 9PT20 that got shipped to me, and it came to me in pretty good condition. Oh yeah, the 20M20, when that finally got to me a few days after the lightning strike, obviously I opened it up. It was the only, it's like, I've had 5 CRTs shipped to me, and every single one of them has had literally no damage during shipping except for the 20M20 because it's a big 20-inch CRT. But that only got a little bit of cosmetic damage on the left side because some reason the dude that packed it didn't put like arrows on which side it should be facing up. So of course, when it was delivered on its side. And because of that, I think it like pinched one of the folds on the side, and I had to unpinch that, and in taking it off, it also revealed to me that one of the screws holding the back plate on completely like broke off on the inside, but that didn't like affect anything on the TV. The tube was still good. It needed a little bit of calibration, of course, and all that, but cosmetically it had that like tiny bit of damage during shipment, but I was perfectly okay with that considering everything else was basically essentially perfect about it. So I was like, oh, that was such a relief, because I was really afraid that like the big plastic piece at the bottom was going to snap off, because many times I've heard people like in a lot of my research, I saw that people were saying that piece of plastic, like it was very frail and brittle and would snap easily, especially when a CRT was being shipped. So I was really worried that was going to break on shipping, but it didn't, thankfully. And it's like, oh, so like I was totally fine with like some cosmetic damage on the side that I basically will never see because I'm only viewing the TV from the front. So cool, whatever, that's totally fine. But yeah, I got that TV, and like I did do a couple of Secret of Mana streams on that, and I think that's what I finished Secret of Mana was on the 20M20. So yeah, I forgot to mention like when I got it, but yes, I got that a few days after I got my 20M20. Also around that time, because I realize I'm like, okay, I have too many CRTs and I am not using a handful of them. Like having this whole like CRT island kind of thing is cute and all, but I really think I need to start selling some of these and downsizing, because I don't like throughout the month of April and May, it was cool having these CRTs be used as like display pieces in my apartment and have like different games on show, and it was fun and stuff like that. But I eventually decided that I'm like, dude, if I'm just gonna have TVs where their only real purpose is using it for display, then I feel and not actually playing stuff on it, then I feel like there's almost no point in having it. So I decided to downsize, and I went to, or I hit up a bunch of friends like locally in the area and stuff. And so like one of the first ones that I sold was actually the 9044Q. As much as I was obsessing about that TV back in March, by the time like late June and July rolled around, I was like, I don't really think I like want or need this TV all that much anymore. Like it was literally just being used as like a display piece kind of thing, and it's like it feels bad because I gave myself so many different justifications on why I wanted to get this, and it turns out that in the long run I wasn't doing most of those things. I wasn't even taking it with me to Melee tournaments anymore. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna trade this with a friend for a couple of high value SNES games, and then he'll actually use it a lot more. Like I wanted to obviously trade it to a friend that I know would keep it and use it and stuff. And so I'm glad I was able to do that with a friend, because basically immediately he was able to use it, and he streams too. So I was able to like see him use it for his stream, and which was really awesome and stuff. So I'm glad I got it to a good home there. I sold the 14MV to a Melee friend for like 200 because he took an interest in it. So like that one wasn't too difficult to get rid of. But then I had two more PVMs that just kind of sat there for a long while, and I needed to try to get rid of those at some point, and I'll get into those in a short bit. But yeah, I just wanted to backpedal because I'm like, wait, right, I didn't talk about the 20M20, and now I'm talking about the 9PT20, and I'm like, oh my God, let me back up a second. But yeah, so September, car breaks down and need to get it fixed, whole thing. I'm like, okay, screw it, that's the last straw. I need to think about buying a new car. Actually like looking for a new car, and then going to the dealership, and then spending a lot of time getting it actually bought and everything, and then getting the car insurance figured out was really fun. No, it wasn't. It was time consuming, but I was thankfully able to get it all done before October got here. And I'm like, okay, cool, sweet. That like all my focus, all that time that I wanted to spend in September working on Silksong and playing all that was entirely consumed by the whole car thing, as well as several other things that don't immediately come to mind right now. But there was a lot that was going on that prevented me from being able to do all that stuff. And past a certain point, I like slowly realized, and I was still doing Sword of the Sea stuff too at this time as well. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, I think I am just going to continue doing the whole Sword of the Sea thing. And Silksong is, as unfortunate as it is, it's just going to have to go on the back burner for some time until I feel like either I'm done with Sword of the Sea, or I feel really motivated to do something with Silksong. But like, that feeling has kind of basically been the same ever since then. And I don't know, maybe that'll change a little bit next year, but I'll go into that in the next video, because this is already long enough as is, just talking about this year. So boy. Yeah, anyway, so the month of August, crazy, cool, and awesome. Month of September, not so cool and interesting, and a lot of it was more like, oh, this kind of sucks, you know. And another derailing moment. Like, I just like, this is like the third time this year that like I've been derailed from doing like a stream schedule kind of thing, and so it's really just starting to feel super demotivating. October rolls around. I don't even remember like most of the stuff that I did in October, besides the fact that I ended up actually having someone take interest in the PVMs that I was trying to sell. Because I posted, because like, you know, I had already asked like several friends that live nearby, like if they're interested, and they weren't at the time. And so I'm like, you know, okay, that's fine, you know, no big deal. And so then I open it a little bit more by opening it towards the Super Metroid community, because I know people in the Super Metroid community really like their PVMs. And that ended up resulting, like, there were a couple people that were interested kind of immediately, but like a week or so after I posted that, one particular Super Metroid member took a very keen interest in the PVMs, and it ended up being none other than Zost, one of the all-time best speedrunners for the game, took an interest in my PVMs. He's like, yeah, I mean, I don't have like the cash for these, but I have a whole bunch of high value like PS1 games, and like I have a whole library of games I think I'd be willing to part with, and we can make a trade. And so we discuss about it and the details and everything, and he's like wanting to go through with it. He does want both PVMs, and like I'd find that like he has more than enough stuff to trade that I think is high value, and we make basically an agreement. And this is all happening basically throughout the month of October, and it's not until the 25th, basically the end of the month, that he actually finally does come through, and he picks him up and we make the trade. And even my friend Chris comes all the way out, and he comes and hangs out with Zost, because he's also he's been a friends with Zost for like years, so they got to like hang out. And it was honestly like, aside from the first like 2 weeks or so of Sword of the Sea coming out this year, like Zost coming through my place and picking up the PVMs and showing and testing out all the different like high value PS1 games and all that, like that honestly was like such a highlight for me. That's like two absolutely major highlights for me personally this year, were first 2 weeks of Sword of the Sea, and then Zost coming to my place to pick up my PVMs. Like, peak. Oh, so amazing. Like definitely the freaking highlight of that. And I was glad that I could just offload the remaining 2 PVMs. So after I traded those with Zost, I'm like, amazing, I'm done. That's it. I don't have any more CRTs to downsize, and I don't have any more CRTs that I'm trying to get, except for one. There's one more, and it's a pretty tough one to get, and I still have not found a listing that really comes that close to it. But I did decide that I do want a 27-inch black JVC D series. That is the last like white whale of CRTs that I want, essentially, and finding one especially nearby is probably, it's possible I might not see one for years. I don't know, genuinely, but I'm kind of on the lookout for it in a way, sort of. I'm not in a rush. I can live without it for a bit, because like when I do get one, it will replace this 27-inch Panasonic that's behind me. But until then, it's like I'm perfectly fine with the 6 CRTs that I have. I have 3 conglomerated over onto a new table that I call now CRT Island 2.0. I have one where my stream stuff has been. Like, I haven't streamed any retro games literally since the middle of August with Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblems. So, but when I do eventually decide at some point in the future to do retro games again, I'm going to be playing it exclusively on the 9PT20, which will be amusing. That I do end up finally just settling on some small consumer set as my CRT. Like, in the end, after all these trials and tribulations of doing CRTs and figuring out the CRT streaming setup, I settle on a 9-inch Sony consumer set. Like, I would never would have been able to predict that, like, November of last year when I was planning all this stuff out initially. It's so funny to think about. Holy. Okay. So, but yeah, like the 27-inch JVC D series in black is like the last one I'm looking for. And those are pretty sought after, and I just haven't found one. I don't know when I'll find one, but that is the absolute last CRT that I can possibly imagine wanting. Because I know Sony has plenty of 27-inch sets. 27-inch sets. Am I saying that right? Sony has plenty of 27 and 32-inch sets that are cool looking and impressive looking, but they're not what I consider to be the coolest looking consumer sets. I think the JVC Black D series, because the smallest Black D series is a 27-inch. They have 32 and 36 that are also in black, but I want specifically a 27-inch one. And there is a 20-inch D series, but it's silver only, and I don't care for the silver ones exactly. So yeah, I want specifically a 27-inch black D series, and that's it. That's the absolute like last CRT that I could ever ask for, because I want the best looking design chassis, whatever CRT. Like, I don't even care that much about the actual tube itself, more so than I care about like the overall design of a CRT. And it's like, for 27-inch CRTs, the black JVC D series takes the cake, but I have the 27-inch consumer set that I think looks the best, which is the 20M20. I have the 13-inch consumer set, which looks the best, which is the 13M42, and I have the 9-inch consumer set that I think looks the best, which is the Sony 9PT20. And I'm happy with all of those. I still have the Symphonic. I still bring that with me to tournaments. I still have the 8040. I've put my Midna statue on the top of that because it works like that pretty well. And I have actually moved my 20M20 TV, so it's not part of the streaming setup anymore. It is now moved into its own separate location, pretty much right next to me, where I'm pointing here with my hands, where you can't like see the actual thing. It's right there, but I've moved that, so it has its own dedicated gaming space and whatever. But like, you know, it feels a lot more organized, and I've repurposed things, and I even got I found a really nice like multi-shelf stand, TV stand, essentially for the 20M20 to put on right next to like the wall for like $10 on Marketplace. So that was really sick. I got that in November. I got that in November, so that was really, really cool. But yeah, from this point on, I basically, ever since I got the 9PT20, I have not really been looking every day for CRTs on Marketplace. I will check once in a while. I'll check like maybe once, twice in a week, but I don't really do it daily. I'm not like constantly on the hunt. I don't even bother looking at eBay listings like 99% of the time anymore. It was just really exhausting. There was many times throughout this year that I was getting just mentally exhausted over obsessing on CRT stuff. So I'm glad I'm like pretty much past that point and focusing on something a bit more, something I feel a bit better about with like the whole Sword of the Sea speedrun stuff. So yeah, Zost gets my last 2 PVMs. I feel better about my whole CRT situation. And then the last 2 months of the year kind of just blur together. And I mean, like, I get my VR back also. Like, it's so funny. I literally had my PVMs right where I'm sitting, essentially. I had them like next to my couch, and they were right next to where my ottoman is, where they would literally be like right here, and I could use them as like a rest, an armrest or something. But obviously, because I didn't have an index this entire or any VR headset this entire time, I never got to like use that. And it's really funny how 2 days before I get my my Beyond, those PVMs finally get sold, and that space is no longer being used. It's like almost poetic how it ended up like that. Like it like it was meant to be, like cinema or something. Like, it's actually insanity, man. Wow. So freaking funny to think about. It's actually hilarious. Holy. Yeah, but like, oh, I signed up for, the whatever it is. I signed up for Binary Breakers Hope for the Holidays event in the beginning of December. And so when my birthday came around, I'm like, I need to lock in on Sword of the Sea and continue doing my IL practice. So I did a lot of streams at the end of November, and then I do the race, and the race went decently enough, or it actually went pretty well in all things considered. And then the rest of the event got canceled the next day, so that like sucked, because they had staffing problems and whatnot. So that kind of blew. But and like basically for the entire month of December, except for like one Saturday, the 13th, where I did a race against Aya, the moderator that I was mentioning before. We did a best of 3 race that I think ended up actually being pretty good, but that's the last time I've streamed at all. And yeah, I've been really kind of like slacking on it. Like throughout this entire month, I've put the priority onto playing retro games instead of it being Sword of the Sea, thinking that I could do the retro gaming stuff first and then get to Sword of the Sea later on in the day. But that is proven throughout, most of the month that doesn't work. That I if I want to do stuff with Sword of the Sea, I need to do it like first thing in the morning, and or like try to do something like during lunchtime or whenever. Like I need to prioritize doing Sword of the Sea first and then doing the retro gaming stuff afterwards. And that's how I saw a success with that day after Christmas, super late into the month, but I was like, okay, now I'm starting to see it. And it eventually led me to actually getting a pretty big PB, and the like. And it's like, cool. Okay, let's continue this trend. I guess to rewind a little bit, not only did I was reached out to by, like in the early days of Sword of the Sea speedrunning and being involved in that like first 2 weeks or whatever, one of the Abzu mods, Soulmass, reached out to me, seeing that I'm non-binary, saying like, hey, you should try to submit Sword of the Sea for our upcoming event Hope for the Holidays in early December. And I thought, you know what, that's a good idea. And I procrastinated the crap out of doing a submission for that until like 2 days before they closed in early October. So again, that whole thing that was going on in September like really put a hamper on so many things I was trying to do, and that was one of the things. But I did get it in there. It did get accepted, and it ended up working out in the end. Thank God. Holy, that was certainly something. But at the same time, our world record holder in Sword of the Sea, Newt, he submitted for him and Wilbin, which was the person that I raced for in Hope for the Holidays, who is also a pretty decent, pretty solid runner. They both submitted for GDQ, for AGDQ 2026, and then it got accepted. Sword of the Sea got accepted into AGDQ as a main, not even a backup, as an actual like main game on the main schedule. And it's like, whoa, that's super awesome. Holy crap. So that means I wanted, of course, to be there. I wasn't planning initially throughout like most of this year. I was thinking I'm not going to go to AGDQ 2026. I'm going to go to SGDQ 2026 instead, because that was the next one that I was planning on going to. But you know, things happen. Sword of the Sea happened, and then now I'm going to AGDQ because I'm going to be commentating for the run, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's literally happening like in almost a week from now. Like, that's mind-blowing to me that it's going to be so soon. I'm starting my year off on like a pretty good foot, and I'm hoping that it brings a bit of a revival to this speedrunning scene with Sword of the Sea, since it's been a little dead throughout the entirety of this month. But hopefully it picks up in January. But again, I don't want to get too into that because I'll get into that tomorrow in the next video. So I'm still kind of reflecting on like this year. I've been doing this for an hour and 40 minutes. Fantastic. Oh, sorry that this has just been such a long-winded thing. I was not expecting to go this long and still have things I kind of want to talk about, I guess, in terms of this year. Maybe I should make a timestamp of like, if you don't care about me rambling for this long, like you can skip to this or something. I don't know. Whatever. Geez, what do I even like? How do I even like reflect on like the entirety of the year? Like, what do I like take away? Did I feel like I was able to accomplish the things that I said I wanted to do and whatnot? Well, I know one of the things I said at the end of last year was that I wanted to try to do the whole streaming retro gaming thing for the whole year, not just one quarter, not just 3 months or 2.5 months or whatever. I wanted to try to do it for the entire year, and I unfortunately was not able to do that. I got a lot of games streamed, and I felt pretty good about what I did do, but in terms of what I was hoping to accomplish, it's like, it sucks that it kind of fell apart. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I also just I could not have possibly predicted something like Sword of the Sea happening and derailing basically everything for like the remainder of the year. So, I'll talk about what I think I want to try to do for, 2026, but like, I can't really say too much that I feel like I failed. Because like I said, that the first 3 months of the year were a resounding success in that department. It's just the whole rest of the year has been like obviously a pretty bumpy road. But I don't know. There will almost certainly be a point in the near, and I don't even know about the near future, but there will almost certainly be a point in the future where I am going to actually try to, I'm going to try to pick back up the whole retro gaming thing on and streaming it regularly. I'm sure of it. I'm sure that'll be a thing. Now, what I've been doing lately with retro gaming is I've actually not been streaming it or recording it in really any capacity. I've been playing it purely offline. And the reason for me doing so much of it offline is because one, there's not really as much setup, if at all, like oftentimes there's really like no setup other than just like changing in and out of a game. So that's really kind of nice. But also, I just like the simple fact that, I don't know, if I want to take a game with me to like my parents' place and just play it and enjoy it and not have to worry about making content out of it, I can just do that. And I did do that for both Thanksgiving and for the, days after Christmas, visiting my family only like an hour and a half away. I brought my 9PT20 with me, and I brought a SNES, and I played Final Fantasy VI both times. And like, sure, it would have been nice to save that in some capacity, like save the VOD or stream it or something, but like I just wasn't willing to deal with the logistics of that, or like bring the equipment with me to do, like, it just would have been too much damn work. And I'm just like, do I really need to put in all this effort just to like play a game for a little bit? Like, even when I was doing my Chrono Trigger like recording of the playthroughs of that, even recording those locally still felt like a bit of a commitment to do so, because granted, I don't think it's hard for me to want to play that game for like 40 minutes and then like stop, or like an hour and then be like, that's good enough for a single session. But I don't know, there's been like a lot of games where I only want to play them for like 15 minutes or so, and like, is it worth recording such short sessions? And a lot of the times when I'm playing games, I'm doing some really boring stuff that's not fun to watch. Like, I'm literally just, sometimes I'm sitting there for like multiple minutes just listening to the music, because I think the music just sounds amazing in a particular area, or I'm putzing around with like the menus, or I'm just sitting there watching the attract mode on the start menu. Like, I'm not even pressing any buttons, and I'm just watching like all the demos that the game goes through or whatever. Like, I'm just fascinated by like those menial things about retro games, and I just don't think people really want to watch that or see most of that stuff. So like, the thing that kind of ends up happening when I record or I stream a game is I get a little bit of the Hawthorne effect. I actually like recently, I think I've heard of the Hawthorne effect before, but I hadn't like had it put back into the mind until I saw a recent Blue Sky post talking about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's like so true for me. I definitely feel like I act a bit differently when I know I'm being recorded, or I know I'm streaming something. Like, for instance, recording this video, my mood was very different leading up to recording this compared to how I've been talking so far. It's just like the Hawthorne effect, I do think kind of plays a part in changing my perspective or changing the way that I play a game, because like, I don't want a playthrough to be boring to like the average person that's playing it. And it's like, and I know like people will say like, well, that's fine, because like I can just skip through it, or I can just leave it on the background or whatever. And it's like, sure, like maybe you might do that, but maybe some other people won't do that. I don't know. I don't even know how many people have even watched the Chrono Trigger playthrough to begin with. And it's like, do I really need to be worrying about like how I'm playing a game as I'm playing it, just because I'm recording it? Like, do I really need to do that? It's like, I just feel like it's so much simpler and easier for me to just not do that and just focus instead on purely playing the game, no recording anything, no streaming anything. I'll take pictures. I will take pictures though. I've taken a bunch of different pictures. I've even taken a couple of videos of like Mario Kart Double Dash and stuff, of just like moments that happen or things that I think are like screenshot worthy, and keep photos of those, but I don't record an entire session. I did try it, and I realized after a bit that I kind of didn't like it. And then when I started playing a lot more things off stream and not recording them, I think overall I was enjoying them more. And it was reminding me more of how I used to play retro games on just my Panasonic behind me, and it felt nice because I felt like I could disconnect from my computer and being away from the world and stuff like that. When I was doing that with Chrono Trigger, it wasn't really being the same. So It's a tough balance to strike when I really think about it. Like, on one hand, I do enjoy streaming games that, like, streaming first time playthroughs is okay-ish. I don't think I ever really have to worry that much about backseating because I don't think I've really gotten a lot of unwanted backseating in general. Most of the time, like 99% of the time, I'm pretty sure I don't get really anything as far as backseating goes. So, I don't think I have to worry about that. So I guess it kind of begs the question of what the hell do I decide to do as far as, you know, do I even stream retro games again, or do I only ever play retro games off stream? So the streaming part is specific around this schedule that I've like built where, you know, every like 2.5 weeks I do a specific game and whatever. And the like, that is something that like I'll see about getting back into at a certain point. I don't know when, like, I'll maybe talk more about that in the next video or something, but like I can't predict that right now. But I do still have that list. I still have that list of all those games and the timestamps and everything and what days and yada yada. So who knows? Maybe I did kind of design it with keeping in mind that if I want to just pick it back up at any point in time, that I can do so. So that was kind of a consideration when I first created it, because I knew there's probably going to be an instance where I am just going to drop it completely for like probably a long period of time. And it's like, that's fine. I kind of knew that and kept that in mind ahead of time. So, you know, all good there. I don't think there's too much of an issue in that regard. But like what I've been primarily doing for several months now, I don't know if did I start doing this in July? I don't remember. Man, I didn't even talk about me being unemployed. Oh, oh my God, dude, so many things to talk about. I'm just going to talk forever. I'm just a yapper. I'm yapping forever. Oh my God, Jesus, man. Do I even, I guess I can mention briefly, sure, whatever. I got let go in the end of July, or not July, the end of June, because my 2-year-long contract with the company that I was working for expired and it couldn't be renewed anymore past 2 years. So they had to let me go. I was unemployed for the entire month of July. And with the whole Lightning thing going on, I was like, before even the Lightning thing, I already decided that like I just want to not worry about a job for a bit, and like I want to actually like a break from the corporate world, because I wasn't really enjoying my job, especially throughout the months of March through June. So that also further contributed to my depression that I was having during that period of time. But like when I got let go, or was told that I was getting let go at the beginning of June, I like actually didn't feel that sad about it. I actually felt kind of a little bit relieved, because it's like, you know, I feel confident that I can get something again pretty easily if I put my mind to it. But at the same time, like, you know, I also want to just take a bit of a break. Like, let me like at least take like the month of July, answer recruiters that reach out to me on LinkedIn and whatever, and any other recruiter that like tries to talk to me, of course, but I'm not going to put in any applications. I'm just going to try to enjoy my time of not working. So the entire month of July, I did pretty much exactly that. And then I get an interview from the same company that let me go very last day of July, and they're like, we want to put you on a different project, on a different team, and we're not doing any of the stuff that I did not like at earlier in the year, and especially October of last year. God, or October, basically October through December of last year was ass for a number of reasons. And it's like, well, you won't have to do any of that stuff on this new team. And it's like, you know, and it would be much more coding focused as well. And it's like, because at first I was thinking this was just going to be more of the same bullshit, but like I'll at least give them the time of day by having the interview. But then when I had the interview, I'm like, wait a minute, this just actually sounds like, it sounds promising. It sounds a lot better. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go through with it. I better not regret it. And I definitely don't. I do not regret it. It ended up being a really good opportunity because basically since it took a little bit, because my first day was August 11th. Another crazy thing that happened in August. My first day was August 11th, but I didn't start really doing coding stuff until like the 22nd or so, 24th maybe. Something around there, like the last week of August or so is when I actually got to start doing the coding. So it was a slow onboarding process as per the usual with that company. But at the very least, once I started getting the ball rolling with actually coding stuff, it just kind of kept going throughout the entire month of September and October when we launched. It kept going, and like I was really getting the groove. I was really enjoying it. Like basically all my coworkers are awesome. I'm not getting pulled in a whole bunch of different directions. I'm not doing releases like way after hours where we did them like at the end of the workday. So I would be done at the latest at like 6:30 sometimes, maybe 7, and that happened like only one time. Normally it would end at like 5:30 or 6. Like so much better in that regard. I'm just like, everything is like better about this. There's not much that like sucks. You know, we were still like trying to work like a million miles a minute, and we have to like play catch up on like a lot of things, especially once November came around. But it was still like so much better than what I was dealing with in the first half of the year, like by a lot. And I'm really thankful that like I'm still in that same position, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna still keep going well into the next year and whatnot. But like it's ended off this year on a pretty good note. I definitely say, like, I'm being paid the same amount as I was before and all that. So like, yeah, but yeah, there was like a gap of like a month and a half or so in this year, the middle of this year, where I was unemployed, and I made the best of it. And I also got into the habit of, you know, 2 days after that lightning strike, I got in the habit of going on walks every morning, and doing regular exercise and doing regular yoga and regular meditation and all that. And I'm glad I've been keeping that habit up pretty damn well, minus the fact that it's been very cold throughout most of this month, to where I haven't gone on walks for most of the days, because I don't like walking when it's below like 35 Fahrenheit. Like that's cold, man. That's really cold first thing in the morning. So I don't want to do that. But when it warms back up, it'll be daily again. Like, and any days in December that it has been warm enough and the weather hasn't been total dog shit, like it's been raining or whatever, then like, yes, I do still go on walks in the morning, but for the most part, not when it's just a bit too cold. And it's like, that's fine. It's not going to be cold forever. It will warm back up. And that worked out well for me, especially in the middle of like in July, when it was obviously like the hottest of the year. Going on a walk in like 7 a.m. Sometimes I'd even get up at like 6:30. I get up really early, but like it'd be nice and cool, like 70 degrees or something. In first thing in the morning, it was never feeling like hot because I was always going on very early morning walks. So I look forward to doing that again next year. So like I've gotten some very nice, like healthy habits, like out of that whole lightning bolt thing that happened. So like when I say like a lightning strike literally changed my life, it quite literally did change my life this year. And it's just, you know, I wanted to kind of mention that, the whole unemployment part happened during all of that happened during that unemployment like period. So I guess I wanted to mention that like a little bit briefly, because I don't think I've mentioned it much to people in general. So, but like that is definitely a very important thing that happened this year that ended up putting me in a really good position that I feel even better about with my job. So it's like, yes, I feel blessed about that. But yeah, I think I was making a point about the Hawthorne effect and playing retro games and what I'm trying to do, like, so for streaming retro games, it's part of that like scheduling that I do with like the 18 days thing that I mentioned. But for other retro gaming that I've been playing, I've been doing it very differently, where I have a list of 300 retro games and I randomize it every day. And some games I own and some games I like. I don't even know if I think I own. Actually, I have not calculated the percentage of which games I own versus which ones I don't. So I have no idea what this metric is. But there are a number of games I don't own. And if I get a game that I don't own and it's for a console that I do own, then I put it on a mental queue of like, okay, let me see if there are any stores nearby that are selling it, like Retroid games or whatever, any sort of retro gaming places that I frequent, like seeing if they have it. Because I don't want to buy it on eBay. One, because I don't like paying extra money on paying extra money on taxes is like inevitable if I buy it at a store, because like you have to pay taxes there anyway. But like also having to pay money for shipping does kind of suck. And also, like, there's something that feels kind of special about finding the game that you've been looking for, whether it be at an actual retro game store or it being at a game convention, like one of those really big ones where it has like dozens and dozens of vendors to buy from. Like, it's just exciting to like go there and buy a whole bunch of things that you want that are on this list that that have come up recently. And so I've been doing that pretty much throughout the year. There was one on March 1st. There was one in June, and then there was one in October 19th, and then there was the most recent one, which was December 6th, the day after my Hope for the Holidays run. So like that was interesting. And so they're sprinkled throughout the year, and they're really cool. But like I just value so much more finding a retro game at like one of these places like naturally, and in some instances, if I can find it on Marketplace and be like, drive out to somewhere not too far away to pick up a game. I did it a handful of times this year. Like, that's fine, but I don't want to buy everything on eBay and have it be like shipped to me and all that. Like, if I get something shipped to me, like either I'm getting it on Marketplace and not having to pay any taxes on it, which is like great, especially for some of the more expensive items that I'll get there, or it's just like like a very particular circumstance kind of thing. Like if I can get a certain high value game for like a much cheaper price because I see a good deal for it on Marketplace, but it has to be shipped to me kind of thing, then I'll take that. Sure. Yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, like I have this list, I randomize it every day or kind of where, so if it's a game that I don't own, but I have it for a console that I do own, I mentally take a note of it to see like, okay, this adds to the stack of games I want to try to buy. And if it is available at a store, then I'm like, okay, cool. I need at least like one more game to try to get from that store before I try to go and actually buy it from there. Because I don't want to just go out to buy one game and then like another day passes and then, oh, they have that game too. And so I have to make like multiple trips and it wastes a bit of time. So I give it like a little bit to kind of build sort of like a shopping list, if you will. And if it's not available, if I don't find it at a convention or if it's not available at a store and not on Marketplace, then I just am like, well, I'll keep a mental note of it to look out for it in the future, but I'm not going to go buy it on eBay just because I want it or whatever. I'm like, no, I want to find it naturally. It's more rewarding for me to find it in an actual storefront or an actual place where I'm like conversating with people kind of thing than to just have it be bought on eBay where you're not talking to anybody and it just ships to you and whatever. Like that just feels soulless and blah, and and plus people tend to rip you off on eBay anyway, so it's like, no, just I don't want to do that. So I want to only use eBay as like an absolute last resort. Like if I buy a game like a DS game that has the game and the case, but the manual's missing, then, and I just need to buy the manual, then sure, I'll go to eBay and buy the manual or something like that. But most of the time, it's like I'm trying to really not use eBay. Let me see. And then what is it? If it's a game on the list that I do own, then I try to play it the next day. And sometimes it might be a game that I only feel like playing one session for. Sometimes I don't even feel like playing the game at all, because either A, I'm depressed, or B, I am already playing a retro game that I'm already very invested in. And usually when that happens, I just decide, okay, I'm actually just going to not play. I'm going to stop randomizing games, and I'm just going to focus on this game that I'm already enjoying playing. And that's when I like stop doing it daily, and I take a break from it for a bit. But like most of the time, it'll just be a game that I want to play like one session of. That's like, 30 minutes, an hour and a half sometimes, depending on the game and how much I'm enjoying it and whatever. But I typically only play it for like one session in a day, and then I move on to the next thing. Sometimes I will come across some games that I want to play for a multitude of sessions, and especially if I get like a couple of games in a row like that, or in a very short time period, then it's like, okay, I need to stop the randomizing and I need to just focus on these few games or this one game for a bit of time. Or if it's a game like earlier this year, especially like from end of October through basically up to my birthday, I was very, very heavily playing Animal Crossing on the GameCube. I was in love with the game. I was having so much fun with it. And there were new, like when I was doing, because I was still kind of like for the first week or two of me playing Animal Crossing, like basically daily throughout November, I was, I came across like several games that like I just wasn't really feeling, or like if I did make myself play them, it was a very super short session that I wasn't invested in, or I just didn't play then anything that was suggested to me at all through the random number generator or whatever, and I just like no, I just want to play Animal Crossing instead. If I get like that inclination with any kind of game, that's how I know I'm like, I kind of just want to play this game for a while until I feel like I then want to move on. And oftentimes it is just after like 2.5 weeks or some other significant event comes up where it's like, all right, I've been playing this for a long enough period of time. I've kind of paid my dues, and I now feel like I'm ready to move on. I definitely got that feeling with Animal Crossing. And then with more recently in throughout this month, throughout December, I was doing a rotation a bit through Final Fantasy VI, Metroid Prime Hunters, and Metal Gear Solid 2. I was rotating between those three games, and I didn't want to add anything to the backlog or whatever that I was already doing, because it's like I want to find like stopping points. So I didn't finish any of those three games, but I did reach stopping points in all three of them, to where now I'm like, okay, I can move on to the next thing and not have to worry about what I'm playing next, and or not have to worry about like finding a stopping point, because I already did, and now I can just do one-offs again, kind of thing. And I've really been kind of enjoying this like way of playing retro games and trying to collect them and the like, because it offers variety. I have no idea what I'm going to get next, so I always feel like I'm surprised by it. And whenever a suggestion comes up and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm cool, I get to finally play this game and that I've been interested in, and it's like that's kind of like my excuse, instead of it just being like, holy shit, a list of 300 games, I don't know where to begin. Just use a random number generator to have it pick for you. It's just kind of easy like that. That's what makes it easy for me, at least. Like that's what I like to do. So yeah, that's essentially the plan. That's and I've really been enjoying doing that. So my prerogative as of right now, as of like how I'm ending this year, is my main focus is still pretty much on Sword of the Sea speedrunning. I'm picking it back up, trying to make it be a daily main priority, main focus of me trying to do runs, still focusing on New Game Plus, no major glitches. I got a PB of a 42:26, but my next goal is to try to get a 41, and then I'd like to get a 40, and then ultimately I'd like to get a sub 40, which I know is going to be pretty hard, and I know is going to be a bit of a grind, but I'll talk more about that in the next video and whatnot, because that goes into like plans for next year. But like Sword of the Sea being the main focus, and then doing the retro gaming stuff kind of on the side, is kind of like the balance that I'm trying to strike here, especially when it comes to my gaming. So if there is a different game that comes along that someone's saying I should play, it's going to be really hard for me to want to like dedicate the time to playing it, because I kind of already got a really good groove going on with what I'm doing. But that's not to say that this won't change in the future, especially with the retro gaming thing. Sword of the Sea is going to be a pretty consistent constant, I strongly believe. But the way that I'm playing my retro games, like, that could change in the next few months. I don't know. I'll brainstorm that some more tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing with retro games. And I think like one final point that I do believe I want to talk about, because I've been talking for like 2 hours and 10 minutes, or yeah, 2 hours and 10 minutes at this point. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. So one of the things that I'm trying to put an end to, because I got fed the hell up with this on Christmas Day. I'm very, very tired of spending way too much time watching like YouTube videos that don't serve me any purpose, just like slop. Basically, you know, the dopamine inducing Skinner box of infinite scrolling crap on Twitter or on YouTube, or just being suggested distracting video after distracting video after 30-minute, hour-long, 2-hour-long, 3-hour-long fucking video essays that constantly pop up that like grab my fucking interest, because of course you're gonna find a fucking video that I have some interest in, and it's gonna come out of nowhere, and it's gonna be like, ooh, you want to watch this, don't you? And it works so well, and it's like the algorithm is too good at what it fucking does. It is actually too good to the point where I literally have decided since Christmas to install web extensions that hide suggested videos on YouTube, because I am at a limit. I am so done with constantly being bombarded with the fucking algorithm and it telling me this stuff. It's like, I just, like, if someone shares a video, I don't want to get distracted with opening 4 more new videos, because I do that like every fucking time I open up YouTube, and it's so annoying. So I have made that decision to hide as many suggested video anything as I possibly can, because of how like much it like takes over the dopamine parts of my brain and shit like that. And it's just, it's maddening. Like, I'm so over the days of spending literal hours in a row, like having countless days. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like me being depressed in April through June, and not feeling motivated to stream throughout most of this month even, you know, because it gets to the afternoon or the evening and it's nighttime, and then like all I fucking want to do is just watch Twitch streams or browse on YouTube and like have an algorithm feed bullcrap to me. And it's like, oh my God, why am I doing this to, like, I'm neutering my like creative process and my feeling of self-expression by doing this to myself. And so many people do this without like putting their foot down. Like, they're aware of it, but they don't put their foot down. Like, I need to change this habit. I need to do something that like changes the way that I use this website. And something as simple as just getting an extension that hides these parts that are specifically designed so that you can keep fucking being on YouTube as much as possible for their ad revenue or whatever the hell, is like, oh, like it's literally designed and engineered to do exactly that behavior. And it's like, I'm sick of it. I'm tired of going down stupid, dumb YouTube rabbit holes, looking up content, like even looking up content for retro games that I am currently playing. Like, I'm really kind of tired of it. A lot of it does end up being the same stupid bull crap that I've been seeing over and over, and super rarely do I ever find like an actual insightful like retrospective that like teaches me a thing or two. Like I favorite a video when I come across something that is like actually outstanding and it like really sends a very strong message that I would want to share with other people. I don't do that very often, but like 99% of the time when I'm consuming stuff on YouTube, it's not insightful stuff. A lot of it's just slop. Sometimes it's like, hey, you need some motivation kind of thing, or here's some tips to do a thing kind of thing. And it's like, do you really fucking need billions of YouTube videos telling you the same shit over and over? Like, no, you don't. It's so obnoxious. It's to a point where I'm like, I just like mentally kind of snapped about it on Christmas, because I'm just like, I had all day, I had literally like no excuse, I had no plans, I had no nothing. I spent most of the day doing what I wanted to do on Christmas Day. I played Shadow the Hedgehog. I played I watched the last VHS tape of the Frieza saga for Dragon Ball Z. I played Jet Moto on the PS1. I did a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to do until like before turning my computer on, because I make it an absolute effort every single day that I do all the morning routines things, all the things that I want to do that don't involve my computer first before turning it on, because I know the moment that I turn my computer on and I open up a web browser or I open up Discord, I am going to get distracted by a bunch of fucking stupid things, and it is going to annoy me at some point eventually. And it just happened. It was Christmas Day, because it was like I turned my computer on at 6 p.m. and then I did nothing but watch YouTube videos for like 3-4 hours. And I'm like, I wanted to spend that time instead doing Sword of the Sea speedruns. I wanted to stream. I wanted to do Sword of the Sea speedrun stuff. Even if it meant not streaming, I still wanted to do Sword of the Sea speedrun stuff. And I didn't do that, because I was distracted watching stuff on YouTube. I was distracted with like, oh, I have these YouTube videos that I've started, I need to finish them. And it's like, get rid of this bullshit, arbitrary crap that I have put for myself. Like it's fine to want to watch a YouTube video, especially if something comes to mind naturally. But I have gotten so tired of the entire idea of letting an algorithm feed you stuff when you weren't looking for it in the first place, but that dopamine seeking part of your brain really likes it when it sees that thing that you have some interest in, and it's like, oh, I guess I want to kind of click that and check that, and that's how it gets you. That's how it fucking gets you. And it's, it's so annoying. It's so annoying, and I've just gotten fed up with it. Twitch does not do that necessarily. They have like a recommended section that I also have hidden, so I don't see that either. I only see the people that I followed. And Discord, I've dramatically reduced my activity on Discord. I don't really talk in many servers all that much, because it's fine for me to like poke in every once in a while and see what's going on here and there, but I don't like spending hours just catching up on messages and a bunch of different servers and seeing what's going on and just reading a whole bunch of like Discord. Browsing Discord servers is definitely great for passing the time when I need to just pass the time. I think it's a lot better doing that than infinite scrolling on Twitter or, I mean, Twitch is even fine, like, to pass the time as well, I think, or like infinite scrolling on YouTube. Like, it's still better than doing that. But I don't like doing it as a regular habit when I do have free time to actually play the games and do the other things that I feel like are productive or more fulfilling for myself. So I don't like spending a lot of time text chatting in servers that much, but I do like hopping into voice chats here and there. I like hopping into someone, like I see a friend of mine that I haven't talked to in like a week or so, or maybe a long time, and like I just want to chill and vibe out with them, and or maybe they'll like have a long conversation about something and I want to participate in that conversation with them. Like, cool. That works too. Or sometimes I'm down to be in a VC where a bunch of people are playing games or whatever, and I'm down to just like listen, like have it be background noise and just kind of vibe out. Or maybe someone's playing a game that I'm interested in, depends. Because sometimes being in VCs can be overwhelming. There's like too much going on. There's too much talking. There's too much rotational of topics that I find boring or whatever, and I just end up leaving or not wanting to join in the first place because that's not my mood or whatever. So yes, I do still like want to be in VCs and whatnot, but they can sometimes be a hit or miss depending. Like it's like you go in there and you try it out, and if you don't like it, you can leave. Like that's fine. But I primarily like using Discord to keep up with my friends, using it to DM friends, see how they're doing, check in on them, make plans with them to hang out with them on VR chat or in person, depending on who they are. But like that's primarily what I like using Discord for. Is I like using it specifically for keeping up with my friends, because I think that's what's most important for me. So yeah, that one's obviously like, I feel fine about managing like actual connections with friends and people, because there's a mutual connection there. They know me and I know them, and that's cool. Whereas and Twitch, I definitely know, I understand the whole, like, I don't like trying to communicate or chat with a streamer that has a huge audience, because that is when it feels especially parasocial. But when it's with like a much smaller community and much smaller streamers, it feels less parasocial and feels more like they're a friend kind of thing, and it feels more friendly and more welcoming in that regard. So that's why I still like to watch like smaller streamers on Twitch, but definitely not when it comes to the big ones. But when it comes to like stuff that I see on like Twitter or YouTube, it's like there's no connection or friendship to be had there. You're just consuming content. You're not making friends through that way. Your friends will share you things on Twitter and on YouTube, but you're not making friends that way. I have made a couple of friends through Twitter this year, and Blue Sky, I guess, like kind of in a way. But like I have actually made a couple of actual friends from Twitter, but it didn't happen like immediately overnight. It like took months before I actually finally decided to be like, hey, do you have like a Discord? Let's like chat there more, because chatting on Twitter sucks. But like it's possible for me to make friends on Twitter at the very least, but not as well as like Discord, and especially not as easy as like VR chat for me. But you can't do that on YouTube. I never feel like I want to like be friends with someone that I watch their content on YouTube for, like that just doesn't happen. So reducing YouTube is just like a net positive for me, honestly. Like I don't see it as a net negative. Like I might because the thing is, YouTube content stays around. It's not like you have to watch the video immediately because it expires and disappears after a week or something. Like that's not how it works. Like it will still be here well after it's been posted. So like you can watch a video from 11 months ago and if you've never seen it before, woo, it's still like you've it's not time sensitive unless the content itself is specifically time sensitive. But there are some videos that are evergreen and they're not time sensitive, and yada yada yada, like all that. Geez, like I think of all the videos that I've watched this year, the one that I still think about and the one that I've watched even last night because of how relevant it is, especially this conversation about algorithms, is technology connections video on how algorithms are affecting your mind. It is spot on. The entire like 35-minute video is just spot on. Basically every single point on like why I think algorithm based feeds and infinite scrolling is just inherently bad. And like, at first I was only agreeing with like specific parts of the video, especially since it came out like in February of this year. But oh man, do I like really agree even more so now, especially after having this like little crash out on Christmas about fucking YouTube and algorithm based bullshit that I'm like, this is the video of the year, man. This is what everyone needs to watch this and like learn a thing or two from it. Cause like we need to start having more curated and natural ways of consuming the content that we want to see instead of it having being force fed to us and through a Skinner box bullshit thing. Like, oh man, that's my yelling at old man yells at cloud moment. Really, that really is. It's just I'm passionate about these things. I'm gonna talk about them at length because they matter to me that much. Okay. Oh, but yeah, that's like the point is I'm trying to reduce the unnecessary bloat, the slop, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm because I get like no real value or fulfillment out of looking at that most of the time. I'll spend like an average of 20 hours a week like on YouTube or Twitter or whatever the fuck it is, and I will not remember almost a single thing that I consumed a week later. And I think that is inherently a problem. I will not remember much of anything that I do. Whereas if I grind a speed run for a week, for 20 hours within a single week, I remember a lot of what happened and like the progression of things because I'm a lot more involved directly with what's going on. It's just a more cohesive, naturalistic experience of taking things in the world. And I think that's just so important. And I think people lose sight of. And, you know, I don't know. I know for at least for myself, like that's something that I'm glad I'm really kind of nailing down to do better on at the end of this year. Cause it is, I think it's very important to me. My free time is important and I don't like wasting it. I don't like making it, not to say that browsing YouTube is purely a waste, but like for me personally, if I can't remember shit about what I spent hours doing, I think that's inherently an issue. Like that feels like a problem to me. And I feel like I'm going to feel the same way in a year when I watch this back to be like, yep, I'm still right about this. Cause you know, or maybe even multiple years from now, who knows? But like, I don't think this is some like revolutionary thing. I've kind of always felt like this, but I'm not taking like supreme action into doing anything about it until the last like 6 days. So yeah. Oh, all right. I think that is relatively everything I kind of wanted to talk about that happened this year. Is this video even going to finish uploading before midnight? I don't even know. Maybe. We'll see. It's like 8 p.m. right now. Whatever. Yeah. Whew. Yeah, I'm not editing this, not cutting anything out. I'm just going to let it rock. You know, that's how I roll. I'm not really someone that edits stuff constantly all the time, because I did that for my my Q1 report video, and that took a long time, and I'm like, I think I'm good on doing that, man. I think I'm good. So yeah. Yeah, I've been yapping for like 2.5 hours, way longer than I thought I was going to. And again, I haven't even started talking about 2026 stuff. That will probably be a lot shorter. We'll see. But yeah, I think I don't think there's much else that comes to mind as of right now. I think that's a pretty good overview of what I did this year. So, yeah. I didn't stream this. I guess I forgot to mention at the very beginning, I did not decide to stream this because I just wanted to have undistracted thoughts just coming out of me and not have to worry about like interacting with things. It kind of it's not a Hawthorne effect thing, but it's like I just want to, if I have things I want to say, I just want to like say them completely without being interrupted by something. So, you know, no offense to any Twitch chat people, but like I you know, kind of prefer doing it like this video like this, so that I can just have a streamlined thoughts come out and all that. So yeah. So yeah, that's my 2025. That's pretty much it. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me ramble for 2.5 hours. And watching this and learning about what I've been up to, because it does mean a lot if anyone even watches this in even any kind of capacity, whether you watch the entire thing or you only watch a small part and you jump around or something. Maybe I should timestamp this. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to stop it here. Thanks again for watching. I do appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow for me talking about 2026 stuff, because there's a decent amount to talk there for sure. So yeah, appreciate it. I'll see y'all then. Have a good one.